Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. My name is Thomas Kicker, and I am the Director of Account Executives here at CGI Digital. I've been here for just a little bit over 6 years. I just hit my 6 year mark. And I got to tell you, this is what I do. I love it. One of the biggest things that drives me every single day is helping clients achieve success, strategizing with them, having conversations, being a consultant, and helping them win. I also want to introduce Jim Potanowski. Jim, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, Tommy. Welcome, everybody. I am Jim Potanowski. I have been at CGI Digital this couple of weeks ago, July 12th. I celebrated my 27th anniversary here. And in some ways, it seems like it went by really fast. And then until I think about, I have worked here longer than Google has existed. And that just blows my mind. But because of that, I have watched the evolution of Google, literally watched it happen in front of me. I've watched how the end user evolved with it. I've watched how businesses have evolved with the progressions and changes of Google. And the one thing that I will shout this from mountaintops to anybody that wants to listen, is digital marketing is no longer a luxury as it was 20 years ago. It is now a necessity. You have to do this stuff now, even if you choose to ignore it. There's all your information is out there online. So you should want to control it and have it work for you. Google is king. It is the king. We live in a world now, and nobody can convince me otherwise, that when you need something, you Google it. Now, how important is Google? 97% of people start their search on Google online. 86.76% use Google. Second place is Bing with 7.64%. Third place is Yahoo with 3%. Google is king, and it isn't even close. My professional advice, I will tell to anybody, my professional advice to all, whether you're a dentist or whatever type of business you're in, your number one priority when it comes to digital marketing should be Google. Google and everything that Google does, that should be your top priority. Number one, you should show up in the top three when people search for your services locally. And I'm going to go in a little bit of detail here because you're all dentists. Aware of that. So if you come up on a keyword search, dentists, Albuquerque, New Mexico, or whatever city you happen to be in, yes, you should come up there. But also, you should come up anytime somebody searches a service that you provide. If you do teeth whitening, somebody searches teeth whitening at Albuquerque, New Mexico, you should come up. If you do root canals, you should come up. If you do orthodontics or bridges or veneer, anything that you do, any service that you provide, when somebody searches it in your community, you should come up in the top three. And if you don't, there's a problem. Now, once you come up, number two, equally as important, how do I look online when people find me? You could come up in the top three and have a 2-star rating and terrible reviews, or 0 reviews, or 1,000,000 5-star reviews, but how you look when they find you is so critical, because if you don't have what they're looking for, they're not going to click to the website. They're not going to move any further if you don't look the way they want you to look when they are searching. And then when they do choose you, do you have the best information in the way they want to receive it that makes people choose you, so that you can convert them into patients? Those three things are absolutely critical in today's world for digital marketing. Those are the three major things. So that you know those, what are your options? And this is the fun part, right? Number one, you could ignore all of it. and do it the old fashioned way and say, you know, I'm going old school. I'm going to build my practice through grit and hard work. And I'm just going to be so great at customer service. And hopefully my word of mouth will spread faster than the bills are coming in. You could do that. That's an option. I would not recommend that option, but that is certainly an option. Number two, you could do this yourself. You can start reading everything and studying up on all of this stuff and what's important and what isn't important and what should I learn all of this and do it yourself. That would be like another full-time job on top of your existing full-time job of seeing patients and running a practice. So I also wouldn't recommend that. Number three, you could hire an in-house person, a marketing person that's going to do all of this for you. And honestly, 20 years ago, this was a very viable option. I saw tons of businesses that did this 20 years ago. I see some people still do it. And they do it in-house, right? They have somebody in-house, a full-time person that does this. Not today. Technology moves so fast. It's changing so often that one person cannot do this. They're going to have to outsource videographers, writers, all this other stuff in addition to their salary and benefits and vacation and such. Having one person do your digital marketing in-house is like hiring a lifeguard to watch a 3-mile beach. Wherever they currently are is going to be safe and things are going to be under control. But down 2 3/4 miles, everybody's going to be drowning. So it can be done, but I don't believe one person could do this job effectively. There's some things they could do well, but they cannot do it effectively. Your fourth option is you outsource this, and you outsource it to a team of professionals. A team of professionals that's a phone call or email away on any day, but also sits down with you at the absolute minimum, sits down 4 times a year, every quarter, to go over results, to go over strategies, and most of all, they are accountable. Now, here's the real fun part, okay? Google, when you master all of this and you think you have it down and everything's going perfectly, Google is always changing. It is constant. They are changing to the tune of 500 to 600 times a year. They change their algorithm. Now, some of these are minor tweaks. They're minor tweaks that are easily quit, but 6 to 7 times a year, they do core updates. And these are big. And these can cause significant ranking fluctuations. There have been 3 already this year, and 1 due in July. There's another core update coming in July, but it is constantly changing. Now, all since the inception of Google, January 1 was the biggest update and change to their algorithm since the inception of Google. And this is a game changer because most of you didn't pay attention, but one day you woke up January 1 and you did a search and it just looked different. Something was different. They implemented AI into their search. It's kind of like ChatGPT for Google, but it's called Gemini. And Gemini is the future of search. It is going to change how people look for things. 20 years of SEO and everybody understanding SEO. And how much does Google believe this is the future of search? And you could do your own research and look it up. This year, they have spent $75 billion with a B into Gemini. By year's end, they will have spent over $100 billion. And a quote is, when you look up what does Google believe is the future of search, AEO, answer engine optimization, they believe is the future of search. And the quote is, it is no longer about winning the click. It is now about becoming the answer. And this is something you should all be paying attention to because it is going to happen fast. And I know if I can't see a lot of you, but I don't know how old you are, but if you kind of have this thought in mind, the Yellow Pages were out for 108 years. It was a 108-year staple of Americana that any local business, all you had to be was in the Yellow Pages. And then on September 4th, 1998, a little company by the name of Google opened up in California, and it put a 108-year industry to the way of the dinosaur. But it didn't happen on September 5th. It took 15 years till the Yellow Pages became obsolete. They went away. But that was a 108-year-old industry. Now, am I saying that today, because they implemented Gemini, that it's gonna completely destroy SEO? No, SEO is still extremely important. SEO is still an important part of how you even show up as the answer. However, you're going to see in the next 2-3 years, that's how fast this will move, that we will look back at keyword search and laugh about how archaic it is. Because with the implementation of AI into the search, you can now ask Google questions. You can ask them a question as though you're talking to a human being. And you can ask multi-tiered, intricate, multi-level questioning. Who's the best dentist in Albuquerque, New Mexico that has blue hair and is between the ages of XYZ? And it will search everything in nanoseconds and give you an answer. It is big, and I encourage you all to be paying attention, because it is going to change how Google is used, and it's going to completely change how businesses are found and chosen. AI in dentistry. I did go to a conference last year about digital dentistry. I don't know if that applies to this, but I don't know if Tommy can answer this question better. Your thoughts on AI in dentistry?
I think the biggest thing about AI in general is the way people will communicate with each other and the influence that it's going to have on the conversation of how it gets started. Because people only know what they know, right? If they're asking questions, looking for answers, looking for advice, I think the question we need to ask ourselves is, do we want to be the ones giving that advice, or do we want somebody else to be doing that? Because genuinely speaking, when I receive advice from someone or something, I think they're an expert, right? Wouldn't you say so, Jim?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think the biggest things that we have to think about it right now is, do we want to be the experts? Do we want to be the ones where people are coming to us asking for advice? So I'm hopeful that that gives you an answer. But to be a little bit more specific, I am seeing, even myself personally as a consumer, asking questions. You only know what you know. And people, you're the professional at the end of the day. Somebody does not know what a veneer is. They don't know the process. They are going to be asking questions. I do think it's going to change how people, look for businesses, how they quote unquote interview businesses, how they view them in general. Any other questions at all for Jim or myself?
I will say, I don't think that AI will ever, certainly in our lifetime, will ever replace. If I had a dental issue, I'm not going to trust AI to diagnose me or take care of me the way I would a professional dentist.
I completely agree with that. Jim, a question that somebody asked said, you said AEO is AI answering. You just mentioned expert answers. Can a dentist be an expert or be the expert?
Absolutely. They are experts. They are experts in their field. There's no question about it. So yes, I kind of give you an idea with the difference with if everybody can understand SEO is search engine optimization. What that requires is the consumer goes in and he types in the keyword, he or she types in dentist, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Up will come a list. Hopefully you're on it. Hopefully you're in the top 3. That consumer then has to click each thing, read reviews, maybe check out the website, look at 1 or 2 competitors, then process all the information that they have found and make a choice, and hopefully it was the right one, and make the phone call. That's SEO. AEO, or AI in the search, will now, you could say, who is the best dentist in Albuquerque, New Mexico? And it will, in nanoseconds, search everything in existence on the World Wide Web and come up with an answer and cite why they determined it to be the answer. It's the nice, how do I phrase this, is if you look at human behavior, people will always, historically, since caveman to current time, will always choose the path of least resistance and the easiest way to get anything done. It's a nice way of saying people are inherently lazy. So what's going to happen is, rather than somebody's going to go scour 10 websites and read reviews and do all this, when AI can do all the work for them, I believe people are going to do that. And I believe that they're not even going to look back at the old way.
Really, at the end of the day, in understanding people, you have 8 seconds or less to make an impact. I mean, think about it. People skim, they swipe, and skip fast, and we don't have a lot of time to grab their attention. So when they're looking at us, when they're giving us our shot, we have to have content that is clear, concise, and visual. And if that content doesn't engage immediately, it's going to be ignored instantly. One of the things that we look at when we're analyzing clients is we focus on a bounce rate and then another term called an engagement rate. A bounce rate is how long somebody stays on your website before they, quote unquote, bounce off and go do something else on the internet. Genuinely speaking, you usually think that the higher the percentage, the higher the metric, the better the outcome. Well, that's not actually the case with the bounce rate. If you had a 90% bounce rate, that means people are leaving so fast, they're not even seeing anything. So we want our bounce rate to be low, but we want our engagement rate to be high. The higher the engagement rate, they're engaging with content. Now, engaging content is the key to retention in ROI. Things like video, visuals, story-driven content tend to perform the best. One of my friends actually was trying to get me to join a book club, and they said, "Tom, when's the last time you read a book?" And I said, I don't even read anymore. I watch movies, I watch TV. I couldn't even tell you the last time I read anything, other than emails, of course. But when we think about it, what does this do? It builds trust, authority, and it's connection. It increases time on pages, conversations, conversions, and visibility. And I am a firm believer that we have to think about the bidding process, which is a term that I use a lot of times with contractors as an example. So if everybody looks the same, everybody has the same reviews, everybody says that they're the best, everybody says, pick me, pick me, pick me, what's going to be the only thing that I can choose from? The insurance telling me they're going to cover everything, or partially speaking some things? Insurance aside, we don't want to be a transaction. We want to build a relationship and create retention. But how you do that is engaging them from the first step of hello. We got to stay ahead, involved with technology, not chase it. You're never ahead if you're always behind. And early adopters of AEO, or answer engine optimization, are winning more now than ever, winning more visibly. What we must try to do is align marketing with how humans are searching now, because smart content is going to equal smart results. I want to show you a case study that we did with Dr. Jade. She owns Unforgettable Smiles. It's a father, daughter, and mother family practice in Alexandria, Louisiana. And she took quite a big step in changing her entire digital media strategy concepts. And I think the best thing to do is allow her to speak in her own words.
Hi, my name is Dr. Jade Morrow. I am a general dentist here at Unforgettable Smiles in Alexandria, Louisiana. We really wanted a modern take on dentistry. We really wanted to, kind of fit in with the younger crowd, attract kind of the younger crowd, but also try to be a heavily cosmetic practice. So we revamped or completely redid our website with our marketing team and did a lot of videography. I have been very involved since day one with the marketing team, and they have done an incredible job not only helping us, but educating us on SEO, AEO, reputation management, and just how important it is for our website to truly reflect what we want to say as a business. I guess my eyes were a little bit opened as to how little, I guess, our past marketing teams were involved with us and just educating us as dental professionals. 'Cause like I said, we just come here, we do dentistry, we don't know marketing. Before we switched marketing companies, I had no idea how, I guess, badly we would be ranked or, not even show up on page one when Googling certain, phrases like cosmetic dentistry. And I was once again educated, and they showed me how we ranked. And ever since starting with this new marketing company, we're on page one at the top of the page. They've cleaned up, our website and all of our false information that was on different search engines, and basically have shot us up to the tip top and very much improved our visibility. Changing to this new marketing company has completely already paid for itself. I feel like it's been a great return on investment just from getting patient feedback. We already have had a few calls where patients really liked our website and picked us specifically from our website. And they also have had patients call saying, I see all of y'all's 5-star reviews. Y'all have hundreds. So there was a no-brainer, to choose your practice over any other local businesses around you. I feel like I'm getting an email multiple times a day of, you've got a 5-star review, you want to get feedback, just constant reminders of, how we're really getting a return on our investment for marketing, just because we're having reviews fly in left and right. It makes me happy, but it's also good for the business to make sure, we're doing a great job on our end and implementing the 5-star service on our end as a dental practice. So I have been really excited to hear feedback from our new patients and just, hear that they saw my video on Facebook or, really were attracted to our new website. To be really, really proud of the content that we have created and, not embarrassed of the old wordy website. Now we have fun videos that we created with the videographers on our website. And I also want to add, I really, really, really have loved how much more vibrant and busy we have been on social media, specifically Facebook. I would honestly say if anybody was skeptical about digital marketing, that their business might struggle if they didn't consider investing, because in this day and age, everything's going digital. Our phones are like mini TV screens. If you're not going to get on this train, you're probably going to be left in the dust, just because you'll lose to the competitors who are using, advertisement and digital marketing. Starting with this marketing company has truly just educated me and opened my eyes really to see the importance on reputation management, SEO and AEO. It's really a lot of things that as a new dentist, I had no idea about. And I'm really excited that we made the switch and have a team behind us that's not only willing to continue to educate me, but work to keep us at the top and, at the next big thing, the next new thing. Just a company that's really in the know and hopefully, going to keep us doing the next modern or cool thing for marketing.
we're hearing Dr. Jade's side of the story, but let's also talk about the proof in the pudding here. And looking back at Unforgettable Smiles. So they weren't in the best of spot. They were paying an insane amount of money for the current strategy that they had. They were doing things like Google ads, no social media. They had a pretty terrible review count. And the worst part was they did have a lot of reviews, but the star rating was incredibly low. Now, Jade took the business over from her mom and dad. And, sometimes business owners get into a habit of what works at that time, but change is important, and adapting to where the audience is critical to having success in a digital environment. And, Jade wanted to really spice things up. She wanted to do video content. She wanted to get away from being stuck to a Google ad campaign. Not that Google ads are bad, but I think the biggest thing that we have to consider when we're strategizing is diversification, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't go so heavy with one thing versus the other, and find balance in between. And I'm so happy that, Jade was able to find that, Dr. Jade, because she went from ranking number 19 for the search term dentist in Alexandria, Louisiana, to actually ranking number 2. Now, keep in mind, she has pages and pages of competitors, and Google's constantly pulling that term near me and stretching that radius farther and farther. So she had a lot of competition going on, and going from ranking 19 to ranking number 2 was huge for her. In 1 year and some change, she also was able to gain 156 new Google reviews, also increasing that star rating in general. 2 factors that Google judges you on is your review count, your quantity, but also the quality of those reviews. And looking at the Google search volume just in general, before we get into a little bit more specifics, from March of 2025 to May of 2025, comparing that 1 year prior, March of 2024 to May of 2024, they're actually up in Google search volume 34.3%. Just in 1 year, that small period of time. That's insane. Let's get a little bit more specific, though. So their Google listing profile interactions are up 16.9%. So what is a Google business profile interactions? Well, it's Google's definition of a conversion, which is a call, a click for driving directions, or a website. But just those buttons right at the top, if you guys have used those personally or seen them on your own business, just those 3 buttons being up 16.9% of, 1,660 people contacting them. The other thing too is the calls. And this is actually really, really important, because think about it for a second. If I don't know you and I'm a potential patient, if I don't know you, but the Google listing is the first thing that I'm going to see, I'm probably not going to call you in that moment alone, right? Like, I'm going to go to your website to check out and see what you have to offer. And these clicks right here are individuals that were convinced enough that, hey, I should give this business a chance, give Jade a chance for consideration of becoming my new dentist. And that alone is actually up 13.9% just in that same period of time, March of 2025 to May of 2025, comparing the same year prior. But your website, in my opinion, is your last sales pitch, right? Like, that's the bread and butter. That's the story. That's where people get to know you without being able to meet you in person at that point. And her website traffic is actually through the roof right now, just from one button on Google alone. She's up 35.3%, and also had 568 clicks just to the website. Now, that's great from the conversion perspective, Google's interactions, but she's also got a ton of people just seeing her in general. So 10,484 people viewing her Google business listing. Predominantly most people, keep in mind, and one of the things that she talked about was people having phones everywhere. It's like a small TV screen. 8,798 of those people searched on Google from their phone. Now, 1,244 people still are using their computer. And I always think about my dad for a second. So my dad was a corrections officer for 35 years. He wasn't allowed to have a cell phone at work. So he never adapted to a mobile device. And when he retired 4 years ago, I thought I was doing him a nice thing. I bought him a cell phone for the first time. It's crazy. First time I ever owned a cell phone. And he makes me so frustrated sometimes because he pulls the phone out, turns it on, leaves me a voicemail, and then turns the phone off and puts it back on his drawer. It's like the craziest thing. It's just some people, they stick to the things that they know. But what we are noticing when working with our clients right now is that mobile interaction is getting larger and larger and larger. It's advancing towards what's coming and what's happening right now. So not only has Dr. Jade put herself in a great spot, but her metrics are up in general across the board. And because of this, they were able to actually deactivate those Google search ads where she was paying thousands of dollars a month, and they weren't really being managed that well at the time prior. And they saw no loss in business, which is impressive. They actually ended up saving money and they're ranking better and getting better results overall. So based off of their Google rankings and then the Hello Nation articles that they're doing as well, they've actually started to show up in those AI overview summaries with Google and Gemini. And when we search on Google, the question of who is the expert cosmetic dentist in Alexandria, Louisiana, Google's actually spitting out Dr. Jade and her father from Unforgettable Smiles. So thinking about all of this in general and the next steps of what all this means and where do you go from here and things we got to think about. We have to audit your current visibility across SEO and AEO. How are we showing up on Google? How does Google and what does Google know about us as being an expert of our industry? We also need to think about the content that's on our digital marketing right now. Are we too written text heavy? Are we not aligned visually speaking with how people are communicating today and searching today? And we also need to think about our time, right? How much time are we spending from our digital marketing compared to taking care of our patients and taking care of our practice? And should we leverage expert help to stay ahead in a fast changing digital environment? Jim, there's a question actually from an individual, and it says, you talked about Google earlier. Can you explain again how Google is using AI to show who can provide answers again?
Yes, that's a great question. That is a great question. So if you're, if this is all new to most people, and it is, because I know people that have been in this industry for decades that are just wrapping their mind around what this is and what it's going to become. Okay. So your question is using AI to who can provide answers again. So without boring everybody to pieces about internet nerd talk and algorithms, it's Google at the core. Let me back up so I can answer this effectively. Most people don't ever think of this. Google is in the information business. That is what they do. Yes, they make billions of dollars in ads and all that, but since the inception of Google, they are in the information business. And their job providing information is to provide the most relevant, authoritative, and trusted information. That's what their algorithm is designed to do. So if you think of it this way, we all use Google. Everybody loves Google. The numbers are clear that it's by far the leader in their field. But if every time you went to Google and you asked it a question or you asked an inquiry and it gave you bad information or things that were outdated and not true, it would be 5 days before you quit using them and went to Bing. So it is in their best interest to provide the most trusted and authoritative factual information, right? Now, again, without boring you with internet algorithm, the core, the soul, the heart of how Google delivers information is based on an acronym called EAT. EEAT is the acronym. You can look it up. All of you can Google what is EEAT and you'll see. Now, prior to that, well, back in 2018, it was just EAT, one E, EAT. But in 2024, they added another E, and it stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So you all that are dentists and you've been doing this for decades and years, and you are experts, you have experience and expertise. And in your communities, forget about the internet, in your communities, you've been around and you have patients that tell everyone how they love you. You have authoritativeness and therefore creating trustworthiness. Well, how do you do that on the internet? Because the internet doesn't know you. In fact, Google is not a person. It is an algorithm. There's not a big room at Google where humans are turning knobs and levers at every inquiry. It is an algorithm. And the core of that algorithm is EAT, EEAT. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's how they go about delivering authoritative and trustworthy information. What are the most cost-effective digital marketing strategies for small to solo healthcare practice to attract new patients? Tom, you want to give that one a shot?
Yeah, I'm actually going to answer an individual named Williams and then answer that to kind of tie it together. So,
okay, yeah, I missed
William,
okay,
yeah, no worries. William, great question. So there's actually a couple of ways that we can gather information, whether it's from a ad perspective, like one's considering running Google ads, from an organic perspective. Google feeds us information or feeds us truth. Now, Google business profiles, one of the awesome features is they actually record search queries, because assumptions get you in trouble. We can assume what people search, but the more specific the term is and the more complex it is, the harder it is for people to understand. I mean, they're looking for professional service. So the Google listing will actually record what are people searching, the search terms and the variables that are being searched for, and then also how many people are searching for those search terms. So there's a built-in feature right there where we are, as marketing professionals, doing data analysis of what people are searching, because we want to put ourselves into places that they're searching for. In terms of, from a different perspective, if you were to look at the ad perspective, just to create another scenario, one of the benefits of, choosing like a marketing company as an example that is actually partnered with Google, let's say, in their ad department. Well, they actually have a tool in there where you can search different key phrases and any term that you want, really. And then that program will spit out the actual search terms associated, and then the daily, weekly, and monthly averages of how many people are searching, right? Because what's the point of showing up number one if nobody's searching for that term? So you want to put yourself into positions where people are actually looking. I hope that answered your question there. The next one is, what are the most cost-effective digital marketing strategies for small or solo healthcare practices to attract new patients? It's a great question. The real answer is definitely the organic approach. Again, I've spoken about this a little bit prior, but paid ads are a great strategy in certain situations, but they do have a budget associated with them. So I try to stick with what people use daily. Having a website, having a Google listing, running social media, having content that's being posted, engaging content. Those are the three trifectas that I genuinely recommend to clients that are trying to get either their feet wet if they don't have something preset. But when we think about people in general, like, I tend to believe that there's three phases an individual will go through. So the first phase is the influence phase. So something happens, I chip my tooth, whatever in this situation. Now I have a reason to go look for some help. It's not even necessarily looking for a specific practice. I'm looking for assistance with my problem. The second phase is the self-discovery phase, which is, okay, I have a problem and I need a solution, so I'm going to look for it. And that's where, when you're on Google, you're throwing your hat in the ringer, right? And then the third phase is a conversion phase, which is, okay, they're giving us a chance, and they'll call you, they'll email you, they'll drive to you, they'll go to your website. So I definitely think going the organic approach, website, Google listing, a social media influence, just to get the name out there on other platforms, is the first steps that I would recommend. Just trying to read through the chats here.
Dr. Schillingford, did you read that one?
Yeah, can you see that, James? Do you want to take that?
Yeah. So I kind of, we don't tell you how to manage your business, but we need your services or people like you. We do not have the time to learn ads and website engineering. We engage in our company services and these unknown words. You're not alone in that. One of the most common things are listen, you're all doctors. You're very, very smart. If you wanted to do this for a living, I'm sure you could have done this for a living, right? But you chose what you're passionate about, which is dentistry. And if you wanted to do this, I'm certain you could. So you don't really understand, and um, this is very, very common. They don't know terms like SEO, etc. So they get frustrated and they go, this is all, I'll just hope it all goes away, right? It's not going to go away. So that's one of the things that I recommend, whoever you choose to use, that they speak to you in layman's terms and not all internet nerd talk that's confusing, but explain it to you in a way so that you can understand it. That's a key part of when we sit down with our clients. Tommy will testify to this, but everybody that's client interacting with or client facing, they explain it in a way so that they understand it and know what we're doing and why we're doing it. We do it in developing strategies of why we're doing. We don't just tell them this is what you need to do. Listen to me, we're going to do this. So, but that's a very common thing that people don't understand it. They don't know all the keywords or jargon. And so they get completely frustrated and then they get paralyzed and do nothing.
I think the biggest things like when I'm working with clients are, I guess, let me rephrase this. When you're looking for somebody to actually help you, can you have a conversation with them? Do they listen to you? Right? Filling in words and, talking at you versus talking with you is a problem. So I think the biggest thing that the team that I work with is we focus on building relationship and understanding the why. What do you want to achieve? How do you want to stand out on Google? What kind of patients would you like? Right? If you can't talk and learn, how are you going to achieve anything? And then you run into problems exactly like that. I completely understand that. So I do want to thank everybody on this for listening to me and Jim and learning a little bit more. If you have any questions additionally, or you just want to pick our brains, just reach out. I'm always here.